I have a phrase I say: quality questions lead to quality conversations lead to quality deals.
You know the product inside and out, you know the benefits inside and out, so you can be more present with the customer the more you're a student of the game of what you're selling.
So tell me kind of what that means to you and maybe some strategies that you've taught people to be better listeners or strategic listeners.
When it comes to being the best at selling, you have to be the best at asking questions.
Welcome to the Leads to Deals podcast, where we talk about everything from leads to deals and everything we talk about leads to deals. This podcast is brought to you by LamasuLeads.com, the industry's first enterprise-level outbound lead gen service. If you need outbound leads for anything real estate, visit LamasuLeads.com. Today on the show, we've got a very unique one, a little bit outside of the REI space, but absolutely centered in business development sales. A true sales professional, author, built a career from a record-breaking sales rep to sales trainer to running a $100 million coaching empire. He's trained thousands of sales pros, led multiple companies, and he's building the AI tech that literally saves lives. If you want the playbook on selling, he's going to go over it today. If you understand how to build businesses bigger than you, he's going to go over it today. Welcome to the podcast, Dustin Hillis.
Hello, good to have meet everybody virtually, and thanks for having me on, Scott.
Yeah, you're very welcome, brother. I was talking offline with you, man. I really want to hop into it. I'm a big proponent on how sales has changed, can change people's lives, give you the tools to be able to build your own empires. Talk to me about how sales has changed your life.
Well, it not only has changed my life, but it has taught me life skills that I've used as a CEO of a multinational global conglomerate. It's taught me the skills I need as president of a publicly traded AI company. It's taught me how to be a better husband, a better father. So I would say that the core of your communication comes down to your ability to persuade, your ability to sell an idea. I was just talking with Keegan during lunch about the importance of learning at an early age or at some age, even if you're a little bit older, to hop in there and do something really hard to test your mettle, see what you're made of. I enjoy a straight commission job for people to really feel that fear of having to go and hunt something and kill it and eat it. And I think if you have the ability to do transactional selling at a high level, you can take that skill and you can become a leader. You can become whatever you want to be in life. You could become an entrepreneur, because a lot of the product ideas, the development, it's not easy. It's just easier than the ability to sell things. I know multiple people in my space, in the AI technology space out of Silicon Valley. You know, they get a bunch of money. Venture capitalists throw money at them because they're smart. They have a big fancy degree from Harvard or wherever. They put a technology team together. They develop this amazing AI technology, and then they don't have the ability to sell it, so nothing happens. So without the skill set of selling, nothing happens.
And yours started at like what I think is the true, the OG, the most fundamental way to learn sales, which was door to door. So I know you're successful and you're all the way down this journey and you're kind of at the other side of the spectrum, but walk us through what it was like as your first sales job and of door to door, et cetera, and kind of what you learned all those years ago that's still applicable today when you're talking about publicly traded companies.
Hell yeah, door to door, baby. That's where it was at. So straight commission. I had just played football, so I was a middle linebacker my freshman year. I got hurt. Excuse me. I thought my life was over. I was like, man, football was all I knew. My dad said, hey, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And I was like, Dad, I'm probably going to do something with sports. And he said, I think you ought to check out this door to door book selling, software selling gig. And I said, Dad, that's not for me. He said, look, I've seen kids in their first summer get a check for $20,000. I said, really? And he goes, yeah. And he said, I know you want this car you've been talking about. I said, yeah. He goes, how are you going to pay for that car? I said, I thought you were, Dad. And he said, no. He goes, I'll tell you what, though. You go and sell door to door this summer. I'll pay half of the car and you pay the other half of the car. And I said, sign me up, I'm in. So really that was it. And I started started hearing some of these philosophies. I learned about self-talk, the power of positive thinking. I learned about time management. I learned about how to properly present yourself, how in 3 seconds you make that initial first contact, how to change. Later on, after my first year, started learning about DISC and profiling people and how to adapt to a fighter, an entertainer, detective, counselor. That's what I ended up writing my first book on, was At the Door, how to modify your selling style to other people's buying style. But it really started with learning how to work hard, learning how to be coachable. So I think that was another huge skill set that most people don't learn until life forces you to, is if somebody gives you a script that's proven to work, why in the world would you not use the script? That seems so dumb to me. So I think being coachable is huge. So your time management, your coachability, and just being willing to put yourself out there and face rejection over and over and over is what you have to start with to get into selling.
The reason why I love hiring people with door-to-door sales experience, even though primarily we're now all over the phone sales, is there's something so much more visceral when you get rejected at that level, at scale, face to face.
They're looking at the
The
eye and saying, get lost.
get lost. And then it's so easy. It's a coward's man's game comparatively. And I'm talking about my own guys who can just pick up the phone. But when you have to coach yourself to walk up that driveway and you just got told no, that physical, it's like hitting the gym. It's such a mind back. It's overcoming the rawest objections.
It
And the
is.
one thing I love about successful door salespeople, and tell me how long it took you to figure this out, but the problem or the advantage for the successful guys are it's very easy to prejudge your prospect based on the exterior of their house. And if you're going to be
Yeah.
successful, you're going to have to learn at some point to overcome that.
So I have a great story about that. It was my second year, and I totally was doing that. So, never judge a book by a cover. Same thing with houses, right? And I was getting where I would prejudge the house. I would look at the toys in the yard and judge if they were spending money on their kids based on the quality of the trampoline, And it was so crazy that I thought that that's just what it was. And I went to this one house. I wasn't really paying attention. Knocked on the door, and I looked down, and they had this rusty old tricycle that was like a horse looking tricycle. And then I looked over, and the bushes were not trimmed. Cobwebs were all in the door. And I thought, I am wasting my time. And I had already knocked on the door, and I just thought, I'm out of here. I was like, I hope they don't answer. So I turned around, and I was already walking back to my car. And all of a sudden I hear the door open, and I thought, she's not going to say anything. I'm just going to act like, I'm just leaving. Excuse me. And I hear behind me, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Did you knock on my door, sir? And I turn around, and it's exactly the person I thought I was going to see. It was a lady wearing a ratty wife beater, holes in it. Her hair was like crazy, and you could tell she hadn't washed her hair in 3 days. She was wearing cut off jean shorts, and she's yelling at me, sir, stop. What do you want? And I turned around, I had my book bag, and I said, oh, ma'am, you're probably not interested. I'm selling books door to door, which is totally not the script of what you're supposed to say, by the way. And she says, books, I love books. And I said, well, they're really expensive books. And she goes, well, can we sit down right here and look at them? And she had this like rusty old bench sitting there. And I'm thinking, this is such a waste of time. But I was like, whatever. So I don't follow anything in the sales process. I give the worst demo that you've ever seen in your life.
Cutting corners.
Yeah, I don't answer objections before they come up. I don't build rapport. I don't do anything. I literally pull the book out, go straight to the math section, start showing how math saves time on homework. And she goes, this is incredible. This is exactly what I need to help my kids with their schoolwork. She goes, do you accept credit cards? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, well, how many of these books do you have? And I opened the slick and I showed every book that I had. She said, how much would it be for all of them? And I was like, oh, that's about $1,500. She goes, okay, I'll be right back. And I'm sitting there thinking, there is no way this is actually happening. She goes inside, gets a credit card, comes back out. She goes, hey, I'm divorced, and I'd like for my kids to have a set at their dad's house too. Would it be okay if I got 2 sets? And I'm like,
Oh,
this is insane. There is no way this is really happening. But I was like, yeah, I can get you 2 sets. She's like, all right. So she gives me the credit card. It goes through, no problem. Send her the books. Best customer I've ever had. Worst house and worst demo that I've ever given.
and we all need that paradigm shift because that's what it is, right? Like you were operating under one kind of principle. I know best. I can be more efficient with my time. I can cut out the losers, focus on the winners. And there is some reality to that to a degree. But I'll share my story with you, Dustin. I at 20 years old, I stumbled into a timeshare resort. I was installing a security system at a place. I didn't know what it was. And I'm talking to the guys, Dustin, and I see all these Mercedes and I'm showing them how to program everything. And I was just like, dude, what do you guys do here? Because they were all my age and dressed so nice and pretty. Long
Yeah.
story short, I was like, I'll be back. About 2 months into it, you could see the guests coming up and they would assign them to people. And I was at the bottom of the track as a newbie. And all of a sudden they were like, Scott, come up front. Your tour's here. And the big sales director, he's like, hey, Scott, I believe in you. This guy said he didn't want this lead who was like a really successful guy on the track. He's like, this one's yours. I promise you. And this country guy, no undershirt, jean coveralls. And I was like, I am screwed. But Billy Franklin, the big sales director, said, I believe in you, Scott. And I just went out there and I gave it my all, knowing that nobody else would. And at the end, Dustin, I swear to God, this guy flips open the front bib of his coveralls and starts whipping out $100 bills
Yeah.
for the 6K down payment for the timeshare. And I was like, that's it. I'll never prejudge another lead again. If that country guy can pull 6K out of the front of his coveralls, I'll never be able to guess that for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, he was probably from Nashville, Tennessee, and every time I'm at a restaurant in Nashville, the more they look like they're homeless, they're definitely a famous country music singer.
So I do a lot of sales training here inside of our office, Dustin. I want to get your feedback on a couple of topics. I was explaining to the guys, I said, I think in my experience, the one, if not number two, one or two top factors for a successful sales agent is their listening capacity, but more importantly, that ratio of them talking versus customers talking.
Yeah,
So tell me kind of what that means to you and maybe some strategies that you've taught people to be better listeners or strategic listeners.
great question. Yeah, when it comes to being the best at selling, you have to be the best at asking questions. So the person in control is the person that's asking the question. If you're the one doing all the talking, you are not the one in control. So the person that's guiding the conversation, if you want to be an influencer, if you want to be someone that has impact, maybe you have ambitions to be a global leader at some point, then you need to be the best at asking very good, very specific, pain-driven questions. Because it's one thing for you to understand the need, and it's a completely different thing for your client to understand their own need. And you cannot explain it to other people. You can't tell them what their need is. They have to experience it by answering a question. So the best salespeople have crafted and refined and role played how to ask those questions and how to time the question and how to use a third party testimonial story to wrap the question within a story. Then the end of the story has a question associated with it, which leads them down a path to then ultimately, help better their life, help serve them through the solution to the pain, to the answer to the question is what you do.
Yeah, I have a phrase. I say quality questions lead to quality conversations lead to quality deals. And it
Love it.
all starts with the questions. It has to be that. And I
Yep.
think for most people, the problem is they'll find a pain, but they won't sit in that pain. They're as a sales agent,
Yes.
they'll just keep on going through. And it's like for every pain, I need to understand it. I want them to feel it, but it's like I always look at it as almost all pains have a financial pain and an emotional pain. So we have the pain topic. Then we need to figure out what that pain is costing them, not only financially, but then emotionally. And it's just, if you don't ask those follow-up questions, which are so simple, that second and third layer of question, you're not going to be able to sit in the pain and you're not going to be able to provide that value.
That's right. And you just brought up a great point. I find I actually have thought about this. I think psychologically it has to do with ego. You care if somebody cares so much about the next thing to say that they're not willing to listen. I think that's an ego problem. And
Yeah.
and if you want to have empathy, if you really care about other people, if your heart is really on serving somebody, because the best salespeople are the best at serving. So it's kind of reversing it. So it the people that are chasing the dollar, the people that are doing it for money, that might be a good starting point and a reason why to get into something because you have to put food on the table. But it's like the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So you'll take care of that first need pretty quick if you're good, if you work hard, you study hard, you're coachable. You'll take care of your basic needs. Then the ultimate level is helping other people get to where they want to go. So if that's where your heart is and your heart is in the right place, you will have more business than you know what to do with because people can smell commission breath from a mile away.
Amen.
And so when you're asking those questions, you're not just asking the question to evoke a response that you're looking for. You're actually asking the question to hear what they have to say. And you
Yeah.
hear it, even if you've heard it 1,000 times, even if you've heard it 10,000 times, you ask a question, there's 3 answers they're going to give you. You have to have yourself conditioned to the point where it's like the first time you've heard it. Because guess what? It is the first time for that person that they've experienced this. So when you get to the next level in selling, what that allows you to do is you start reading them. So you can read their nonverbals, you can read their facial expression. I love Min Sung face reading. And what it says is it's ancient Chinese face reading. And it says the lines on your face, the lines on your face are a path to your mind. And so once you get good at listening, you can start picking up on all kinds of nonverbals that then lets you realize, oh, they don't really mean that. Or, oh my gosh, they totally mean that. Or, I should ask another question about that question because they're not fully giving me the whole story here. So listening really allows you way advanced selling where people think advanced selling is the more words that you say and all the techniques. And there's tons of books out there about techniques, and techniques are great. But the best technique is knowing how to let people talk and then ask a question that leads to more understanding of their need and a better understanding of why they need to do this now.
Yeah, I love what you're talking about, conviction, and it's that old Zig Ziglar phrase: if you help enough people get what they want out of life, you can have everything that you want out of life. And genuinely, I don't know where I first heard this, but I've always believed it throughout my entire sales career, Dustin. And that's like, if I can make them feel how I feel about my product, the next logical conclusion is to purchase it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. It's like it's a transference of feelings. It truly is. And I don't think anybody who leads, with a servant mindset ever feels imposter syndrome for asking personal questions. Because if that was really my best friend, or if that was really my aunt or my uncle, I would ask him like, dude, how's this affecting the marriage, man?
Yeah.
Like a sales rep is going to be like, dude, I don't want to ask him that personal of a question. It's not really my business. But if I cared about that person, I would want to know, like, dude, what's this really going to solve for you? What does this look like for you 6 months from now when you and your wife actually get to afford a vacation because you don't have to deal with this stress over here
Yeah.
anymore,
Oh, I
etc.
love that. I love that. And here's the thing with that is knowledge breeds confidence. So the more knowledge you have about your product, about your service, the more confident you'll be to ask those questions and to take the time to listen because you know your stuff. You know the product inside and out. You know the benefits inside and out. So you can be more present with the customer the more you're a student of the game of what you're selling. So there's a piece of it where the reason you get nervous, the reason you talk too much, the reason you don't want somebody to ask you a question is you don't know enough about what you're doing. So being a professional, if you want to get paid like a professional, you have to be a professional. So I think of like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. The reason those
Amen.
guys won Super Bowls, they were in the room watching tape before the game. That's how you win a Super Bowl, and selling is no different.
Yeah, if any of my staff, when they see this, they're gonna be like, "Oh, this guy's just saying the same stuff you say." It's because it's like if you truly are going to treat this like a profession, and you're going to treat this like a profession, and it's going to be how you feed your family, you can't just show up part-time. And we have such the luxury of being able to actually pull our recordings. And now with AI, and here in a minute, we'll go deep into AI, but we have created all these custom little tools that's given real actionable insights and feedback, Dustin. It's such a beautiful time to be alive and to be in the sport of sales right now, because you have all these tools. The marketings are getting tighter out there. It's really it's really easy to level up.
It's the
I want
best
to.
time. It's not only a good time, it's the best time. There's never been a time like this. The access to information, Scott, is insane. I mean, you could get a summary of all of my books. This is my fourth book, Capacity. You could just go to ChatGPT and say, "Give me a summary of every book Dustin Hillis has written." Boom! You'll have every closing technique in, so authors that are in the I'm not. I don't make my money from just writing books. So I
Yep.
run companies and write books about that. But it's a tough business to be in, where you can now get the information in a book super quick. And so that's what's awesome about AI training. You can get coaching. I think that buying the book and having the stories within the book, or the application of it, is important. But then also, I think if you need something quick, you have access to Tony Robbins and all the great Zig Ziglar. It's right there at your fingertips.
Yeah, it is. And I think too, though, I think the generation that we're in right now, even for the adults, but especially for the younger people, discipline will be the separator, because buried in all this information is every other little caveat out there. I can go look at TikTok and I can do these types of things, but he or she who is disciplined and looking to sharpen their sword, like you said, the tools are there at their disposal, unlike they've ever been before. I want to get your feedback, though, on another sales strategy or two. So I was telling them about listening. I said, I think listening is 100% where it's at. And then the second part is that shutting up after asking for the business. I think that just one, like if I could just fix two things, hey, talk 33%, listen 60%, ask for the business, and wait at least 8-9 seconds before anybody talks, even longer if you can. Those two little things, I think, are just some really easy, low hanging fruit for most sales reps. So I was just curious about your mindset there about, like, hey, asking for the business and allowing the customer to come to their solution.
Sure. So when I think of that, I start thinking of buying behavior styles. So if you think of DISC and you have a driver personality, I think in the close, giving them an option, saying, "Hey, which option do you like better, A or B?" And then letting them choose is the
Amen.
key. And they need to feel in control. So the driver,
Amen.
they have to be in control. And I think with the entertainer, you have a little more leeway to have fun, make it exciting. That you tell some stories, and then the story could be the close. Is you tell some emotional charged story, and then you say, "Could you see yourself being like that, doing that?" And they go, "Yeah." And then there you go. The detectives, those guys, the analytics, they're the ones that need a T chart. You probably have to do a price comparison to the competition, and from there, they do the shopping for them, because if you don't, they're going to shop you whether you like it or not. And then the counselors, those are the ones that need the most time. So to your
Yeah.
question, I think the ones that I've done even a walk out close with,
Mm.
where you get to the end, and usually with the counselor, I do a consensus close. So when we were selling big multi-million-dollar consulting packages back in the day, you'd have a boardroom, you'd have the CEO, you'd have the influencers, you'd have the CFO. And I'd go person by person and say, "What's your favorite part about this? Why do you think this is something you guys should move forward with today?" And I would get every single person in the room to affirm why they need it. And then I'd look at the CEO. If I knew he was a counselor, consensus decision maker, and I would say, "Hey, I know you're going to want to take some time to look at to talk to your team about this. What I'll do is I'm going to step out and let you guys chat about whether or not to move forward. And the only favor I ask is when I step back in, you guys just give me a yes or a no. Does that sound fair?" And he sits there and he goes, "Well, I was going to ask you to leave and call you next week, but now that I think about it, yeah, I think we could do it in about 30 seconds." So then you leave, and now you've set the table quite literally to get a decision in 30 seconds versus you leave, then you have to schedule another meeting. God knows what's going to happen between that meeting and the next meeting, and boom, you've got a big multi-million-dollar decision.
I love it. Let's talk about capacity. So this is your fourth, and it's about to drop, or it hasn't dropped yet.
Yeah. This is a pre-sale. So it's being published by Ben Bella Books. So it's available today. Actually, it's available on Barnes and Noble for a 25% discount. Excuse me. If somebody's watching this recording, they could just go to Amazon and pick it up pretty easy, pre-sale. If you want to buy it, also in packages, my website, dustinhillis.com, we have a video training on dustinhillis.com for pre-ordering the book. So you order the book today, you will immediately get a training by me on the topic of capacity, building your business bigger than you. If you buy 10 books, so if you're a leader or if you have a bunch of friends that are entrepreneurs and you think, you know what, this sounds awesome, I'm going to get 10 of these, then you get the entire training series. So it's 6 video trainings that you get immediately while you're waiting on the book to come out. Then if you order 100 books, you fly here to Nashville, Tennessee, and spend a day with me where we're going to integrate capacity into your business in a training live session. And if you order 1,000 books, then you'll fly to Cabo, Mexico, spend a day with me. We're going to go deep sea fishing. We're going to play golf, and we're going to talk about your business and how to integrate capacity.
I love it. So the title is Capacity, Building Your Business Bigger Than You. Give us the ethos. Like it seems like it's summarized in the title, but what am I going to walk away from after I complete reading this awesome book?
Yeah, there's 5 pillars plus a bonus pillar. Pillar number 1 is executive strategy. Pillar number 2 is business development strategy. Pillar number 3 is marketing strategy. Pillar 4 is legal strategy. Pillar 5 is financial strategy. And the bonus pillar is life strategy, how to optimize your life.
I love it. I love it. And then so for us, kind of give us a snapshot, because I wasn't expecting everything was going to be strategy. Are we talking like blueprints, wireframes, how universal to whatever industries?
Yeah, everything is how to. So I'll do a quick summary of each one.
Please.
Executive strategy is who do you have at every position within your executive corporate structure. So starting with yourself as the leader, as the entrepreneur, do you have a job description? Most entrepreneurs, most CEOs have never taken the time to create a role definition for themselves. When you start with that as a leader, it is amazing where you can see the gaps or the things that you're like, you know what? I cannot believe I'm doing this every day, every week, every month, or once a year. This should be somebody's role within my company. Just by creating your own job description, that begins your executive strategy. In front of that or after that, then you would have all the different positions that you would need within your company. So you have your finance department, your marketing department, your sales department. You build out like a corporate structure. Also, part of the executive strategy is a 5-year business plan. So most people don't take the time to think 5 years down the road. They're trying to kill the thing right in front of them. But taking a day or two with your executive team to properly map out step by step what you're going to do this year, next year, and the next to build upon it a 5-year plan. And this includes looking at your competition. This looks at your price point. This looks at what's on the horizon technology-wise that might be a threat. Doing a SWOT analysis, and then building out goals, specific, measurable, attainable, reviewed goals with a time frame within 1 to all the way through 5 years. So you have your corporate structure, and you have it on a timeline. So sometimes, for example, let's say marketing. A business can't afford a CMO, an entire marketing department, when you don't have $1 million in revenue, just picking a random number. But once you have $1 million or $5 million in revenue, it probably makes sense to bring in-house the outsourced marketing that you were doing when you were a small business doing a couple $100,000 in revenue. So it's all a continuum on your strategic plan of when do I need full-time people? What are my business partners' roles and definitions that I have now? And how do I build towards a $100 million company? How do I build towards a $1 billion company? And you break it down step by step within that executive strategy.
Let's talk about this 5-year plan. It's one of the things that, as we've had different consulting teams come in here, even we go through the motions. It's fast. It's crazy how fast 5 years you go through. But when you're sitting there writing it out, it seems like just fantasizing because there's so much that happens, whether, like you said, a technology or the economy or et cetera. So how often are you recommending people? What will we find in this book where it's like, hey, listen, but you want to come back and revisit that and make the proper adjustments every what period of time?
Yeah. So when you start at a minimum annually, as you grow, I do it at least every other. So every 6 months, then quarterly, and then ultimately monthly. So what I would do is I would wrap it into the monthly financial review. So that goes to the finance strategy. So one of the future pillars on financial strategy is taking your finances and building out from, instead of managing the business on a cash basis, hire a CPA, convert to GAAP accounting, have a proper P&L with the cash balance sheet, have a 13-week rolling cash financial tool, and then you review it once a month, and you do year over year comparison. You compare actual last month compared to the budget. Then you're running the business like a well-oiled machine. But in order to get there, you have to start with the executive strategy, which then rolls into the budget reviews, and it all becomes part of that reviewing your goals, reviewing the executive strategy, and reviewing your budget on a monthly basis.
What I'd say to the people who are watching this is that even if you don't have this big company, even if you're just a team member on a company or you have this vision, these are fundamentals, right? And it's so these are fundamentals that you can learn and you can share with your team, your colleague, your CEO. You can be that person who born that idea that you captured from this book and you see how to apply it to your current business. Or it's just so much more refreshing to have these tools in your memory bank as you go to build your company than having to learn about it later and wish you would have had it earlier. Because these didn't just come up at the very beginning of your business. I assume these are very hard fought lessons that you have learned throughout your career of running these publicly traded and then, multinational companies.
Yeah, I look at life as a series of confidence anchors that you do the first thing that was really hard. I have to go all the way back to sports and wrestling in high school, where I did something that was really hard, beat some guys that I never thought I could beat. That gave me the confidence to then go play college football. And then that was
Yep.
something I never thought I could do, but then I did it. Then that gave me the confidence to go do a door-to-door selling gig on straight commission and break a company record that was a 150-year-old sales record. That then gave me the confidence to write a book and start a coaching business. That then gave me the confidence to become CEO of a company or become president of a company first, then to become CEO, then to start 5 new companies, and then to become a venture capital guy, and then ultimately run a publicly traded AI company. But you don't start with running the publicly traded AI company. You
Amen.
start with, hey, I decided to beat a guy in a wrestling match.
I love it. Let's talk about AI for a minute before we break out. I know that obviously you're very into your niche, which I'd love for you to share with the team what Safe Space is. But can you just talk about the impact AI is having for you guys and then kind of how you see it? I think you'll probably be the guest who's the most in bed with the whole ecosystem right now, kind of what you see the impact in. If you have kids, do you have kids, Dustin?
I do. I have a 14-year-old daughter in 8th grade.
Yeah, I'd love to also get your idea as a parent and how AI is impacting you as a father.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a lot of questions right there. So
Yeah.
I'll start with what we do, and then we'll talk about AI in general. So safespaceglobal.ai is our website, safespaceglobal.ai. And we are a publicly traded company. So our stock ticker, if you wanted to check out our publicly traded stock, you just type in SSGC, and it has all of our news, all of our information, financials. It's crazy being a publicly traded company. Basically, everything about you is available online as a publicly traded company. So if you type in SSGC on any of your stock apps, it'll have anything you want to know as well. So our vision is to be the global leader in multimodal AI technology. Our mission is to help save lives. So what we have dedicated our company and our current life to doing is using the most powerful tool that's ever been created, AI, to train it to protect and save lives of the most vulnerable populations. So currently we're in 4 different sectors. We're in schools, senior living, transportation, and prisons. And we looked at those 4 sectors and said, this is where AI can make the biggest impact. And so that's what we chose to do. We have a world-class team. We did a friends and family round and raised $10 million in my first 6 months of being with the company. And then after raising that money, we deployed it and have recruited a team of 80 plus team members worldwide. We have an office in Singapore. We have an office in India. I'm here in our Nashville office now. We have an office in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we have team members all over the world selling right now today.
I love it.
So that's a little bit about us, what we do. Within each sector, we have products. So if you go to our website, you can see more details about our gun detection product for schools, our fall detection product for senior living, our facial recognition product for terrorists on buses. One of our clients is the Kansas City Transportation Authority, and they're getting ready for the World Cup in 2026. And they're putting our AI software on their cameras so they'll know if a terrorist is on the bus as soon as he walks on the bus. Like, it's cool stuff. So,
super cool.
We are all passionate too. If you go to our website and go to the About Us section, you'll see the executive team is robust, meaning all of us have been there, done that, and got the T-shirt in terms of growing $100 million businesses, cashing out for hundreds of millions of dollars in our former businesses that a lot of the people on our team have founded and started. Our CTO built over $1 billion technology company and sold it. So, none of the people on our team are doing it to like get experience or to cut their teeth. These are very seasoned veterans. And the passion we all have is knowing that the field of AI is the future of the world. You're talking about a field that is bigger than the internet. So when you're talking about something that's going to be bigger than the internet, and we're on the front end of it, the people shaping it matter. And so we just all had a small group of us that got together and put our minds together and said, what if we train this to have the number one thing that our model cares about is saving lives? Because we believe, actually, interestingly enough, you asked me about my daughter. I've had this thought already about what is AI right now in terms of the world, to go to your broader question. I think AI is like a 14-year-old girl right now. So as the father of a 14-year-old girl, she listens to me. I can train her still. And when I tell her to do the dishes, begrudgingly, she still does the dishes. When I tell her you got to be home at 8:00, she's got to be home at 8:00. So I can apply consequences. I can parent her, and she pretty much listens now. 4 years from now, it's going to be a completely different story. And so the training that I hopefully am putting into her now as a 14-year-old will pay dividends 4 years from now when she's thinking on her own. I think AI is exactly like that right now. So the humans that are training AI and putting all these programming in it, we have 35 of the top programmers in AI right now training our AI currently today. Right before the podcast, I was on the phone with our CTO and he was showing me their current models and what they're running. And they have a gun in a fake studio, walking by it, doing all the different things that the AI needs to know. Like, we could show you the handle of a gun. If that much of the gun is sticking out of your pocket, it would know the gun, it would know the model of the gun, it would know how many bullets that gun has. So like, that's the level of what we're training it to do. And then what to do with that information is also part of what we train it. So it's alerting authorities. It's giving descriptions of the people. So ultimately, what we see this happening, and the reason we've recruited programmers away from Google and Oracle and these huge companies, there's companies out there, if you just turn on the news, they're offering hundreds of millions of dollars to these programmers in AI. And our team is not making that much. We have a very low overhead monthly burn right now. And the reason our team is passionate about it is because they know our mission is to save lives. And they see a bigger calling, knowing that in the future, this could be like the difference. So we actually have lofty views of what we're doing here, where this could be like the difference of the future of humanity, if you really want to put it out there. So we want a future where the people who've trained AI know that the difference is life versus not valuing life. And I have friends that are in the special ops community. I'm also a minority owner in a drone technology company. And I'm the only non-special ops guy in the company. And so one day we were sitting down with a guy that was 25 years special ops. They've made movies about some of the things he's done. And it was just so cool talking with them. And my wife said, "Hey, how do you know the difference between the good guys and the bad guys?" And he goes, "I've seen things that you wouldn't believe. And I've thought about this. And I can tell you the answer between the good guys and the bad guys." He said, "The good guys value life. The bad guys don't value life. That's it. That's the difference between good and evil." And then he gave examples of being in these other countries where a team of 6 men that are highly trained, the most valuable assets we have at the United States of America, and we send 6 of them in to save one person. And these guys in other countries can't believe it. They're like, "Why would you risk your life to save another person's life?" And it's because fundamentally they don't value life. So imagine those countries training AI, and they're training it to not value life. Then all of a sudden you have the most powerful tool ever created that doesn't care about whether you live or not. That's a scary thought. So for me, that's why we're so passionate, and that's why hopefully people are investing in our company, is because they see what we're doing and they know they're investing in more than something to make money. They're investing in the future of what AI will be.
Yeah, I curious, how's your exposure and outreach go? Because now you have this beautiful product, a beautiful mission. You got Kansas City, they reached out, or however those dots got connected.
Oh,
But
we reached
how
out to
does
them. Our sales team is cold
okay,
calling.
excellent. That's what I was looking for. Because
Yeah.
even with a great product, you still want to get in front of the right people. So you
We,
guys do have an outreach team.
we are smiling, we are dialing, we are working referrals.
Woo!
That's how we do it.
I love it. Dude, what a very, very unique story. I wanted to go to that last question though, because I'm a father of 2 beautiful daughters. I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old. 6-year-old turns 7 in 9 more days. And I struggle with this because I see the landscape of the future of education being markedly different. And at least my knowledge base, I just remember being in high school and then being like, you'll never have calculators everywhere, that whole thing. And all of a sudden T180s came out, and then now we have all this, but it's so much different. And I almost feel like it's going to go to, I don't know if I focus my kids so much on the repetition of knowledge so that way it becomes a fact in their brain, or more of the arts and appreciation of the arts as we go forward. And so I just wonder how that sculpts you as a dad, because AI better than anybody I'll talk to.
Yeah. So what I've done with my daughter is taught her how to prompt. I think prompting will be, it's not that AI is going to run the future. The prompters of the AI are going to run the future. So, excuse me, oddly enough, it actually is the same skill that you were just talking about, that we were talking about earlier. To be a good prompter, you have to be good at, guess what? Asking questions. So if you already have honed the skill of asking questions, if you've already honed the skill of knowing how to ask a question to revoke a response that you are curious about and that you want to know more of, that is what the best people that are going to utilize AI are going to be, the most powerful people in the world. And I'm teaching my daughter now how to prompt AI to create the things that she wants to create. So on our last family vacation, actually, it was on our RV trip where I pulled her out of school and did road school for a year. We created a business plan for her. And so we just sat down with an organic conversation. I was teaching her what ChatGPT was, and she saw me using it to create a business plan. So I showed it to her first and showed her how I would, in one prompt, I would talk for about 15 minutes and create a 5-year business plan. And she was just like, "How did you do that, Dad?" And it was comprehensive. It had financials. It had a growth chart on it. It was insane. And I said, "Well, I just have asked those questions so much over my 20-year career that I know how to say it in 15 minutes. And then this computer is smart enough to know how to give me all the answers that normally I'd have a team of probably 10 to 12 people that would take 2 or 3 weeks to create what you're seeing here on the what the AI just gave me. And she's like, wow. She's like, could I do that? I was like, absolutely. So then I said, well, let's just start with the ideas that you have. And I said, let's just prompt what you're passionate about. So she was passionate about dogs. She was passionate about online residual money. She actually said residual money, which I was like, proud dad moment. And she was also interested in team building. She said, Dad, she had a bracelet making business and she was selling bracelets $5 at a time. And she made $3,000 $5 at a time until she was like 10 years old, which was pretty legit, I thought. And funny story, she invested $2,000 of her $3,000 in our AI company, and she invested when the stock was at 10 cents, and today it's at 40 cents. So
I love it.
that's
Good
pretty
for
cool
her.
too.
Yeah.
So anyway, side note. So we prompted through. I had her. So she's not allowed to have AI on her phone. So we're using my phone with ChatGPT on my phone, and I'm just coaching her how to do the prompting. So she's talking about what she's passionate about. She's talking about what her goals are. She's talking about her ideal business. If she had a business, these are the things she would want the business to have. Here's the things she's really passionate about. Working with kids. She wanted to work with kids under 18. So she listed the demographic of the type of people she'd want to work with. And then she said, and I love to help other kids make money. So she put like all these things in there. I'm giving you a quick summary, but it was a really good prompt. I mean, it was for her first prompt ever. I was like, damn, that was good.
Proud.
So then we hit go, and it did it all and came back with gosh, I forgot the name of it, but it's like basically a kid Uber Yelp type of business where kids could fill out a profile, and for dog walking, babysitting, mowing lawns. So right now there's a ton of apps. Oh, and she said search the web for businesses that like I want a unique business or something like that. So it created this business that doesn't exist. And I was like, wow, how cool is that? And
that is cool.
And then we put this business plan together. We even called my lawyer, and she goes, Dad, what about child labor laws? And I was like, I love you so much. And so we got on the phone with my lawyer and we started talking about child labor laws. And I don't know if she's going to do it or not, but it was pretty cool teaching her how to prompt like that.
What a cool exercise, man. And you know what, again, we've talked about it now a couple of times. It's just paradigm shifting. It's just opening up beyond that window of what I thought reality was. And that's so powerful at 14. And I think that'll be the summary. Like, as I think about this podcast for anybody who's watching it, who's like, okay, well, what is my takeaways? It all started with, like, as you said, the wrestling, but the door knocking, getting used to that resistance, overcoming those self-doubts, kind of visioning out what you wanted to be ahead, those baby steps. And for everybody who's like not in sales, I'm telling you, I don't know if I've ever talked to an entrepreneur of any scale that didn't have a foundation in the art of communication through mastering sales in their beginning journey. And so sales can absolutely catapult you to the next level. It can help you not only grow the company you work for, or maybe go out there and start your own and just lead this remarkable life like our guest, Dustin Hillis, is today. So, Dustin, how do people find you, your book one more time? How do they find the company?
Yeah, so my website is www.dustinhillis.com. I'm also pretty big on Instagram. I'd say that's my preferred social media channel, and that is Dustin_Hillis. And then, or you could just type in Dustin Hillis and use the blue check mark. Then I would say that our stock ticker, SSGC, if you wanted to check out Safe Space Global Corporation, that is a good resource. For the book, actually today, since this is live, Barnes & Noble is offering 25% off. So you can go to barnesandnoble.com and type in capacity or type in Dustin Hillis, and you get 25% off my book today. And it's today only, quite literally. Barnes & Noble is pretty amazing that they're giving the 25% discount.
Nice.
And then Amazon is always obviously the easy place to go to pre-order the book. If you want the goodies, if you want the training, if you want the benefits, you have to go to dustinhillis.com and order it through my website if you want the free training on capacity.
I love that the subtitle is Building Your Business Bigger Than You. I think that's another one of those existential type thought processes you have to go through as an entrepreneur to continue your impact and to
Yeah.
be able to provide beyond your own individual scale by aligning yourself with the right people and the right processes and the right strategies. So I'm very thankful, Dustin, that you came in here and shared a couple of minutes of Jim. I love the sales stories. I love where you're doing out there in the AI world right now. And I look forward to personally reading the book, brother. Thank you so much for coming on here and just sharing a little bit of your wisdom.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott, for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, brother.